Katie, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Take it away.
My name is Katy Taylor. I'm an artist illustrator in South Florida, and I am excited to talk with you on Artists Connecting.
Perfect, thank you. Now, you've been on my list for a while, but there are a lot of things going on, so we finally got together. Now, you are a singer, you're an illustrator, you've been doing art your whole life. So why don't you take us a little bit in the beginning? I know you went to college for illustration, but way before that, you were always into art. So take us away.
Yeah. Well, I've always loved art. I think all kids do love art, but I definitely found an extra love for it just because I think I'm a very anxious person in general, and I found I could anyway, escape in sketching and doodling and things like that. And I was just always seeing things that would inspire me as a kid that I would want to draw. Like if we would have a snow day at school, all I would think is like, oh, I get the entire day to just draw. Like I don't have to do anything but draw, which is kind of weird as a little kid, but that was what got me excited. And I just stuck with it all through high school. I would use it. And like I said, I used it a lot as an escape from my mind, because my mind can tend to, I'll find something to worry about. If there's nothing to worry about, I will find something. And I find when I'm sketching or painting, I'm not thinking about things like that. I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I get lost in it. Even if it's like actually, especially if it's something tedious, I tend to like just get lost in it, which I find really useful. And I enjoy it. Went to University of Hartford in Connecticut. I got my BFA in illustration. I was blessed enough to be able to study under really great illustrators like Dennis Nolan, Bill Thompson. I still follow a lot of my professors. I follow them, and they're just incredible, incredible artists. Fred Wessel, just amazing talents that I can only ever strive to be. But yeah, after college, I just kind of started doing odd art jobs. Obviously, I had to work. I was a manager, marketing director of a museum. I did that. I did bartending. I did everything, but I always did art on the side. People would kind of present things to me, so if I could do a portrait or things like that, and I loved that because it kept that going. And now I really focus mainly, I do still do a lot of portraits, but I focus mainly on book illustration, which was originally what I wanted to do when I was studying in college. I said, if I could be a book illustrator, that would be my ideal illustration work, and I'm blessed to be doing that.
So now, why is it book illustration is your thing?
That's a really good question. I guess I enjoy developing the characters or the storyline with the author. I really enjoy that communication and connection that you get with the author that you're working with or the client. It kind of takes the pressure off me sometimes, because my goal is to give them their view, like their vision. It's not my vision, it's their vision. So I like to pull that out of them. Like obviously they have that vision because they've been working on this book. Most people work on things like this for years, it's like their baby. So I get the privilege to help them bring it to life, what's in their head, and put it on a page. And hopefully, the main goal, and if it doesn't happen, I will do it over and over until they do. But usually it's pretty quick. That they'll say, this is exactly what I envisioned, like, I can't believe you took it out of my head. And it's just such a cool feeling. And then to know that, there's a kid somewhere eventually that's looking if it can bring a little bit of joy to a kid, that they get lost in the book and get to see my illustrations and take some kind of enjoyment from that, is like a really cool feeling.
Now, why do you why do you think you're so good at illustration? I've seen your work. I'm a huge fan. I think everybody's a huge fan. But what makes you so good at it?
Honestly, I don't think I'm that good. Like, I think everyone's their own worst critic. Like, I'm always like, I look at so many artists and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. Like, I feel like I'm drawing stick figures compared to what some artists do. But I don't know. I guess like that obsessive quality that I'm like, if I'm not happy with it, I'll just keep working on it. I'll redo it. It just, I don't leave it alone. I'll just keep going. I mean, I'll spend hours and hours, just reworking something. And if I don't like it, I'll throw it out and start over. But I think that, and I think that I really do try to capture what the author is seeing, because usually they have a really great vision in mind, this like great creative story, and I get to pull it out and put it on paper.
Now, I know sometimes you work on two different books at once. How do you keep, how do you work on two separate stories, two separate books, usually two separate artists, but how do you just keep that going and then actually finish two different products?
I mean, I don't know. How does anybody do something like that? It's kind of like, art is hard for me in that sense, because if I'm not feeling that inspiration at the moment, it's hard to like force that. I'm sure you understand that feeling too. It's like you have to have like that inspiration. But sometimes I'll just sit down and be like, all right, I have to get this done. I want to work on it, and then it'll start. I'll get back into it. And it's kind of like you just juggle it. You start one and then you do a little bit of the other one, and you just kind of work it in. I don't know. You just get it done. It's kind of like any other job at that point.
That's true. Now, do you find yourself liking to draw specific characters more than others? Do you so talk about that a little bit?
I don't know if I like one more than another. I think I love them all at the end of it. When I'm sketching, it's really fun, because it's like, who is this character going to be? You get to, and of course, sometimes the author will have an idea. I want her to have blonde hair or dark hair, or I want it to be, I did a really cool illustrations for a book called You May Have a Piggyback Monster. And that one was super fun because each page has a different monster, and she was totally open, and it was kind of like, do whatever you want. And I got to create every monster. So it was like, what color should it be? How big? What kind of, I kind of mixed animals together, and that was really fun. But like I said, I think I fall in love with each character by the time I'm done with the sketching period. It's like, that character and you love them, and they have like whatever their quirks are or their personality, and you kind of just get into it that way.
That is so.
So if I'm going to design a character, a lot of times somebody will have an idea in mind. They'll say, oh, can you make it look like my dog? Say it's like a pit bull, a very bully pit bull. My goal is to give the energy of that pit bull and the vibe of him, but make him as cute as I can. So he's a lovable, obviously a dog is going to be a lovable character, but I might give him like, that classic square head, maybe those cute little ears if they have. And then I'd rework it a million times. I'd be like, oh, this is cute. I like little eyes like this. Or sometimes they want like more realistic eyes. Then I'll come in with like, like something more like this, and little puppy dog eyes. something like that. Give them like a nice big nose, make them cute, kind of. And sometimes they have no preferences, in which case you're completely open. You can make whatever color you want, whatever kind of dog breed, or if it's a person, you can give it whatever kind of hair, or any kind of personality you want. Give them little eyebrows. So I really just start sketching, and then once I find lines that I like, then I'll like darken those in. Sometimes I won't like them, and I can either erase them. I like this a lot because you can kind of come in and take the sketch lines out, but you can still see the lines that you like, the gum eraser. And that's about it. It's like playing, but I'm an adult. So I don't know, I'm just lucky to be able to do this because it's what I would probably be doing in my free time anyway. Give him a little collar. Give him his name. And then he's a happy dog. Then we have our character, or the basis for him. And that's about it. It's just a lot of experimenting and trial and error. What do I like? What don't I like? What do they like? What don't they like?
How do you think your work has evolved?
I would hope that my work evolves every time I do something. I try to study other artists, things they do. Maybe I'll see the way they do lighting, or use shadows or color, or something different that I haven't tried or thought to do. And then I'll try to incorporate that. I'm constantly trying to improve on the art, whatever I can do. That's really it. I don't know I think I have a style, not necessarily on purpose. So I don't know if that's really changed over the years. I think I always have that. Even when I try not to, it kind of comes out anyway. So I think my style's been pretty consistent, but as far as evolving, I try to study other artists and take away something from everything I see to improve on my art.
Very good, very good. Where do you see your work going in the next 5, 10, 15 years or so?
I would love to do more books. I really enjoy that, and I would really just like to do more of it and hopefully improve on it. Every book, I think I try to get better, and I'd just like to do more of that.
What does art mean to you?
Oh my gosh, this is such a hard question and such an easy question. I feel like my initial response would be art is something that's created by someone that evokes an emotional response from the viewer. But then music is art, and that's not viewed. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a visual art. It's more emotional or felt. It's an experience. So then I start going down, if that's the case, then it's more about the emotional response than the actual art itself. So at the end of the day, honestly, I feel like it's so subjective. The only answer I can give is that art can be anything to anyone at any time, because I see art in the tile in my shower, and I'll see an image and I'll literally get lost in it my entire shower. I'll just go travel down this thing. Oh, it looks like a figure. It looks like a tiger. And I'm like, so it's like the silliest things I feel like can be art. So I can't really give the answer because I don't know. So that's the only answer I can give that doesn't bring me down another rabbit hole. That's like, well, if that's the case, then. So I'm just going to say that. Art can be anything to anyone at any time.
No, that is my favorite question to ask because everyone just completely goes
it's so hard.
to town with it. Any final thoughts? Any reflections on today, on the episode, anything?
Today was fun. It's fun. I don't ever really think about why I do things and what, you know, I don't deep dive into why I do things. I kind of just do them. I live in my head most of the time. So to get out of that and see like, oh, that's interesting. Why is that? And how is that? It was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you.